Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Knox County Employees Merit System Board of Directors meeting dated Thursday, May 16th, 2024 at 1 p.m. Today we're in the small assembly room. I guess we are going to set the agenda for today. So the first thing we're going to do, I guess we got a couple things. We're going to approve the minutes of last meeting. We're going to go through some old business, I guess the request for classification and the consideration for the approval of the Nova Medical Center as a board-approved licensed physician for physical examination. I think we discussed some of these things at the last meeting, and really, I think the only issue we had at that time, I think we were going to talk through some of the wording in some of the documents that we had before us. So I guess without further ado, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you. Having heard the entertainment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. The meeting minutes from last session are approved. Next on our agenda, we're going to have the request for reclassification. Do we have some individuals in the audience that are going to be discussing those requests for reclassification? Okay. I didn't know if there was anything that you all had to add from that. So it looks like there is a motion to amend the rules for a request for reclassification, I guess allowing individuals at their discretion to submit a request for reclassification to the sheriff. And if the sheriff determines that the request has merit, it shall be submitted to the board for action. If the sheriff finds the request is not justified, the individual shall be so advised and informed of the right to appeal the decision under the grievance procedure. And I guess no position shall be reclassified without the board's approval. And so I guess I'd like to open it up for discussion. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss with regards to this?
Just point of clarification, I was unable to attend the previous meeting, so this is coming before us to decide to ask commission to remove this rule entirely based on it not being in line with the ordinance, or decide to ask commission to add a denial of reclassification. So I guess what will be our final recommendation from our discussions? So that's what we're discussing as far as considerations.
I do remember something about that from last meeting. I think most of the people that we had here from last meeting, I think both Myers and Paula, I think they aren't here. And I'm struggling. I guess Alicia, Tori, do you guys remember whether it was adding this or removing it from the policies and procedures?
I think you guys were discussing whether you wanted to do one or the other, how you wanted to go about moving forward.
Well, how about this? How about I pull up the merit system policies and procedures and kind of see, because I think that's probably the best basis. And if everyone's okay with it, we can table that and discuss the consideration for the approval of the Nova Medical Center, if that would be appropriate, if everyone would be okay with that. And then I'll get a better basis for what we're going to do with that point, if that'd be okay.
Yeah.
Any opposition to that?
No.
Okay. Well, then with that in mind, I'll entertain, I guess, any discussion. Does anyone have any discussion for the consideration of approval of the Nova Medical Center? Would you believe we have some members from the audience who might have some clarifying points? Do you all have anything you'd like to say with regards to this?
There you go.
I'm going to learn how to use this thing before too long. We brought before the board in November the possibility of using Nova Medical Center as a backup provider for the new high physicals. The KCSO staff does not have a medical provider on Thursdays and Fridays. At this time, if no provider is available, applicants have to wait an additional week before the physicals can be completed, as physicals and psychologicals are only done on Thursdays and Fridays. We would like to use Nova as a secondary provider only when needed. The KCSO medical staff will remain our primary provider. We are asking for the board's approval to move forward with this request.
Well, if I remember correctly, I think we had some discussion at that time. Is there, I guess I'll entertain any discussion from any of the board members surrounding this topic or any questions.
So when you say physical, this is for pre-employment.
Yes,
Physicals,
new
correct?
hires.
So at the point in time that would delay the process of getting people onboarded due to not having resources or services available during that time?
Yes, because right now, currently, we are using the sheriff's office medical staff to conduct the physicals. They only do physicals on Thursdays and Fridays because the psychologicals are only done on Thursdays and Fridays. So if our medical staff is not available on Thursday and Friday, our new hires have to wait an additional week to get scheduled. So we'd like to just do a secondary provider to move them through the process.
Thank you.
I have just one quick question for you, and we probably covered this in the prior meeting, and I just don't. So would the Nova be using the same criteria that KCSO typically implements?
Yes, and that is one of the reasons why we wanted to go with Nova, because all of the requirements under the merit system, like the post-certification and the forms, Nova has agreed to do them the same way that our medical staff is currently doing them. Excuse me, is currently doing them. So everything will remain the same. It'll still be the same process. It'll just be Nova doing the physicals.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Excuse me.
Any further discussion on this matter? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Nova Medical Center as a board-approved licensed position.
I motion to approve Nova as a for medical center.
Okay, any seconds?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
All opposed? All right. The consideration of approval for Nova Medical Center as a board-approved licensed position has been approved. So I believe that pulls us right back to our request for reclassification. And so from what I can see, I want to say I thought we had already discussed this, but I think we had discussed having Myers, Mr. Morton, put together something. I guess I remember there was some discussion as to whether or not this was a grievable matter, if I'm correct. So this is actually already a part of the current policies and procedures. And so I believe there is a section on what a grievable matter is. And I believe that the contention was that this does not fall under what would otherwise be considered a grievable matter. And I guess if we were saying that, I believe that the discussion was that we don't have the power to hear this because it's not under the section or the definition of grievances, because I believe section 4267 under the current system defines the grievable matters that the merit council can hear. And so well, I guess as a point of order, I guess I should probably open it up to discussion, and then I'll dive further into this. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss with regards to this?
I guess for clarification, so you say grievable matter, right? So from me just reading the paragraph, are you saying that, because the way that it's built is though we don't hear anything unless the sheriff already deems that merit exists, right? So are you saying that they want to be able to aggrieve or a grievance be applied for if the sheriff finds that they don't have merit and it doesn't come to us to begin with?
So my understanding is this request for reclassification was, this exists under the rules currently. And I believe there was an issue, somebody had brought to the board's attention that this was not under the list of grievable matters. So under the merit system policies and procedures, there is a section that spells out what items can be heard by this board. And I guess to put it simply, either we have the authority to to hear this type of matter, or we don't. And so I guess under 4267, which I pulled up, there is a section that says grievances which may be addressed by the merit board. And a grievance subject to a hearing before the Merit System Board of Directors is defined as any of the following actions by the sheriff. Number one, a dismissal of an employee under the procedure set out in the Merit System Board of Directors policies and procedures effective January 1st, 2021, and as from time to time may be amended. Number two, a loss of salary, and that discusses the term salary, not including the use of any KCSO property assigned to the employee or loss of overtime hours. Number three, a suspension of longer than 3 days, or where an employee is given cumulative suspension of more than 10 days within any given 6-month period. Number four, the denial of leave, as defined and set out in Section 11 of the Merit System Board of Directors Policies and Procedures. Number five, requiring a classified employee to participate in political activity as a condition of employment or promotion. So, to restate that and summarize it in a more simple term, I guess there are five, under the current policies and procedures, there are 5 matters which we can hear. And it appears as though, and that's dismissal of an employee, loss of salary, a suspension longer than 3 days, which I believe has already been amended. I guess County Commission, I believe approved something recently, but a denial of leave or a matter surrounding requiring a classified employee to participate in political activity. And so I believe, just based on the authority granted to us by County Commission, this request for reclassification is not a matter that we can hear at this time. So I believe that it would, in my reading, be appropriate to remove this from the policies and procedures, just under the black letter of the current system policies and procedures. Does anybody have any discussion, anything they'd like to bring up with regards to that? Okay. Now, I think with the understanding, I think, this board wants to provide as many opportunities to hear grievable matters for these employees. I don't think this is a discussion of that within itself. I think this is more just making sure that the policies and procedures correctly reflect the authority that's been granted to us. So I guess with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to remove this language from the current policies and procedures.
So moved.
Okay, any second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right, well, I believe, with that being said, the request for reclassification will be removed as a grievable matter. Section 5.1.4 will be removed from the Merit System Policies and Procedures. Is there any additional matters that anybody would like to bring up for our adjournment? Okay. As another point of order, I believe I do want to address, although we don't have all 7 of our board members present, we do have a quorum. So we should be, so all of the matters that have taken place today should be proper under Robert's rules, and so we should be able to move forward with the changes that we've decided upon today. And I guess without any further discussion or anything else, I'll adjourn the meeting.